What is going on, guys? Sid here with another installment of some Tekken 8 gameplay footage. And guys, on the right hand side of your screen, we have none other than a young Dante, right? So, I had to introduce him into the game, guys. So I told you guys in the last video we were gonna do that. We have, upgraded that PlayStation 5, and the PlayStation 5 is working absolutely perfectly. It's not shutting off randomly. I'm not getting hit with losses, like random losses anymore. And I can play straight through, right? Past 4 games, right? So it's been an absolute pleasure to play Tekken 8 in the community. And guys, last night at the start of my win streak, we're gonna skip around, but there is a win streak going, right? And it started off with Aeon Anima, right? Donning the Xiao Yu character model. And guys, Xiao Yu, any Xiao Yu player, I think I've said this in a couple videos when I did come across a Xiao Yu player. Xiao Yu players are, how do I put this? They're, like, to learn Xiao Yu, it's just as difficult as learning Hwoarang. Now, if that makes sense to you, and you know how difficult Hwoarang has always been to, like, learn in Tekken since he was introduced, it's literally the same thing for Xiao Yu players. So hats off for just choosing Xiao Yu, right? I tried learning Xiao Yu at one point, and I sucked at using her, right? So, we're gonna give a big props to my opponent right off the bat. And guys, this was last night. We were starting the win streak, and yeah, we straight up swapped out Ra's al Ghul / Ra's al Ghul, and we added young Dante into the game, right? So this is after, obviously this is after his hair, like right after his hair goes from black to silver, also known as D-Bag Dante, right? So this was the best way I could have presented the character model to you. I think this outfit kind of like, it kind of like made him a little bit more recognizable, but I was actually thinking of removing the jacket, right? But I don't know if you guys in the community would have like recognized him like right off the bat, right? So that was the best I possibly could have done. I do have him with the jacket on and with the jacket off, and without the jacket, right? I have both iterations, right? So I've been going like back and forth, like back and forth. I can't decide. So probably I'm gonna toss this up to you guys. If you guys like him with the jacket or without the jacket, let me know, right? When he has the jacket on, he has the gloves, right? In this game at least, right? So when he's just with like the pure tank top, there's obviously no way to place the gloves on with the tank top, right? So that he seems too bare bones, right? Too unrecognizable. So that was like the logic there. But yeah, in any case, guys, this was the start of the win streak last night, right? And obviously, like I said, Ling Xiao Yu players, they are as good as any Hwoarang players in terms of learning intense movesets, right? And then sifting through which movesets actually work in the proper context, right? Because some of the moves, I'm gonna tell you like right off the bat, some of the more flashier moves that Hwoarang has, always this is the case, that he'll have in his arsenal, it's not really the most practical, right, and effective, right? So there's always a trade-off, right? No matter how big the library gets for a player like Hwoarang or Xiao Yu or any of those players, right? No matter how big the library gets in terms of like movesets, like you have a lot of different strings, right? You have a lot of different combos and a lot of different ways to chain combos, and it's really cool and it's really beautiful, and it can leave your opponent in a kind of like daze, like they don't usually know where to end up blocking as a result. But what ends up happening is that when you do come across somebody who has practiced against Hwoarang players extensively, what ends up happening is that only the effective moves end up working, right? Because they'll know where to block, when to block, and which was like a pepper shot and which was an actual effective hit, right? So and I think that's where some of the law players kind of like trumps, right? Hwoarang players, right? Because it's just like bare bones effective moves, right? So that's like that's the main difference, right? With the Jeet Kune Do style martial artists in real life and the Taekwondo fighters in real life, right? So that's gonna be the thing, right? The simplicity versus the complexity. Like that's always been like the issue in like kickboxing, in the kickboxing realm and the striking realm. But it's just, you know, it's good times regardless, right? And obviously these are hyper exaggerated moves. Because it is a video game, but you guys get the point, right? Like this kind of like ideological the ideology of fighting styles, right? It kind of translates well into like a Tekken conversation, right? Like what would end up being actually effective versus what is just, you know, like artistic, right? So it's that artistic to effectiveness realm, right? But in any case, I'm digressing. My point is, right, the beautiful aspects of Hwoarang's like movesets comes from the complexity and the little nuanced pepper shots and things like that. But does it translate into, like, at least in Tekken, right? Does it translate easily enough, right? Because these are all artistic fighting styles, right? And Hwoarang has like for me, right? Because I've always been a Hwoarang player. Hwoarang, Law, right? A lot of the guys that are on the more artistic end of the spectrum rather than the keep it simple end of the spectrum, like the Law, Jin players and stuff like that, and Brian players are more like keep it simple brawler type aspects of striking and stuff like that. It's just like there is a noticeable trade-off, right? And Hwoarang players, the joke about Hwoarang players, at least in this Tekken, and it's probably a running joke, you probably need a PhD, right? They always say you like need a PhD to use Hwoarang, right? Because you have to learn so many different combinations. It's absolutely beautiful, right? Because the amounts of the sheer amount of ways that you can chain combos is just absolutely gorgeous, right? It's so freaking gorgeous in game. Eddie Gordo is probably like the cheapest character, but he has absolutely beautiful, simplistic chains as well, right? In the capoeira fighting style. But the thing is, right? Using the players, right? Like other Tekken 8 players are gonna know the difficulty level of attempting to use players, right? So when I say like that, like my first opponent was like Zhao Yu, right? Hats off to the Zhao Yu player because I tried using Zhao Yu. For the life of me, I can't possibly control like how Zhao Yu would move in game, right? I don't have like I would pick up Zhao Yu right now and I would butcher using her combinations, right? So we're getting to the point where all the Tekken 8 players are gonna probably be specialists. Like I said this in previous videos as well. They're gonna be specialists in their primary characters, right? So Hwoarang was my primary character. It's obvious. I've come across better chainers, right? Like better like chain combination specialists using Hwoarang, right? And in those private Tekken fights, right? But Tekken 8 Hwoarang fights, right? Those meetups, right? But they're more of like a nuanced, complex, beautiful looking style. Like it's like on the more artistic end of the spectrum, and it's beautiful when you can mix it up. But the thing is, does it translate when fighting other players, right? In terms of like effectiveness. Now that's the thing, right? The trade-off, right? The trade-off. I have to reiterate the point. The trade-off between artistic move combinations and effective move combinations, right? You never want to come across as a cheese in any fighting game, right? And it's very easy to come across as a cheese, right? It's easily recognizable. But then again, your primary objective is to win the match, right? If you win the match beautifully, you win the match, right? Like beautifully. But if you win the match by hook or crook, I'm gonna win by hook or crook as well, right? Like take a low cheap leg kick, right? At the end or something like that, right? Just like intellectually, like placing the moves in the correct contextual place, right? But that's the thing, right? Instead of like winning beautifully or winning like dirty, right? It's the same in soccer, right? There's soccer/football. There's a concept known as like dirty goals, right? And any of the FIFA heads and EAFC heads are gonna obviously know, right? When the goal looks ugly, right? That's like one of the aesthetic considerations that they actually that the strikers actually take into consideration, right? Like rebound goals, it's not frowned upon, right? In soccer or football, right? It's just known as a dirty goal, right? It's like a clumsy goal, like but it doesn't matter. It's like that by hook or by crook mentality, right? So if any of you guys remember Inzaghi, Inzaghi used to get all those dirty goals and clean goals and great goals, beautiful goals as well. But he was like known. He was like one of the players that was like known, right? For just taking a goal where he could take it, right? I believe it's called like a poacher. Like a poacher is like the term they use for it, right? I can't remember, right? Like my brain's going. Like too many different library lingo switch outs, right? This happens to me too when I learn actual like different languages, right? So I'll learn like I think it's usually because you don't start with the language from childhood, but anytime I like learn the language now later in my later years, right? Like wherever, like in like whatever region of the world, like whatever like specific dialect and things like that, like I'll learn it, and in a couple months, I'll completely forget it, right? But again, I'm rambling. So last night, I faced off against Nuru, right? Battle Ruler, right? And what messed up this match, right? Like I was having such a good time. I was having a blast before going to sleep. And now I have the opposite problem, right? I spoke about this in the previous video. I have the opposite problem. The problem now is self-control, to turn off the console, right? Because I'm having too much of a good time, right? And we're running on the win streak highs and things like that, right? So we fast forwarded to the 4 wins, right? The 4 wins at the bottom of the screen. But Nuru was he was worth highlighting, right? Him or her, right? That user was worth highlighting simply because we were both playing with heavy amounts of lag. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, there's a lot of dipping, right? In terms of like connection, right? We did not have a stable connection, and he gave it his best with Feng. Like I have never learned Feng. I've never learned Feng since Feng was introduced. I've never learned him, right? Should I learn Feng? Any Feng players, let me know. Is he worth learning? Because his movesets are absolutely insane as well to look at, right? On the beautiful end of the spectrum. Yeah, like I really do go for that that Korean style, right? Like I really do like favor that Korean style. But Shotokan style with Jin, absolutely beautiful as well. The Jeet Kune Do style with Law is beautiful as well, right? Capoeira styles, but all the fighting styles are beautiful to look at, right? They all have they all vary on the artistic ends of the spectrum. So diplomatically speaking, we should just like segue into Jin. So this was earlier today, right? I had to fast forward one of the earlier matches, right? Because it was a little too risque of a title, right? And I just didn't want it to be on the YouTube channel. But it was a great match that I had right before this one. And then I faced off against King Gold, and we are at a 6-fight win streak, right? And Jin. I don't know, right? So you guys have to let me know when the face mask is on like that. Is it a reference to an anime character, right? Because I think I'm missing out on the context clues there as to which character he's customized. My opponent has customized his Jin to, right? I feel like I'm missing like an anime, right? And you guys feel free to let me know which anime it is, right? Because I've seen that face mask on a couple well players, right? And I'm starting to think, right? Like it is a hint to an anime series, right? It has to be, right? Because a couple well people are using that face mask in the same way or in an iteration, right? In a style, right? So it's definitely a hint to an anime series, right? And I think some of my other anime nerds are gonna know, right? So I've only got Dragon Ball, and I've got Dragon Ball, I've got DMC in terms of like anime, I've got Dragon Ball, DMC, Attack on Titan, Castlevania, what else? And Naruto, right? And I think that's it. I may be missing out on 1 or 2, right? Or 3, right? I think like 3 more, and then that's all I know, right? Yu-Gi-Oh! That was probably when I was in like my late teens, right? But I was still like those are games, right? And absolutely epic games. I mean, it was just like good entertainment, but I'm like from like the Pokemon era, right? Like first generation, right? Or Power Rangers era, right? So, by the way, I did try to put in like the Red Ranger and the White Ranger, and then somebody absolutely absolutely put me to shame in terms of like character creation and customization. Absolutely put in like the Green Ranger and then put in the White Ranger, right? And they did it so well, right? They did the costume so well, right? I came across the costume. I just scrapped mine. I was like, man, that's just absolutely gorgeous, right? So we do actually take the character customizations aspect seriously, right? Because it does add that extra oomph, that extra flair, right? That we always talk about, right? It makes it much more unique. It makes the game much more enjoyable, right? Like it adds to what's known in the gaming critics community as its replayability, right? If it has a certain level of replayability, right? That's the word I'm looking for, replayability, right? Would the game keep users coming back for more, right? Like for instance, FIFA in terms of like replayability was like a 10 out of 10 for many years, for me at least, right? And for a lot of the people, right? Still is, right? Because it's a very interactive game and interacts with real life, right? And all of the athletes in the actual physical realm, right? Rather than the digital realm, right? So, Tekken does that for me, right? I know Street Fighter does it for a lot of people. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom. I absolutely love those games. I want a proper version of that game to be dropped. But I think connections, right? Like lag is like a real issue in like those games because those games move super fast, right? But yeah, guys. What can I tell you? As you see on the screen, we have his compatriot as well, right? So there you go with that. My phone just rang, but guys, we're smoothly going along. And guys, we had to skip around on the win streak, but you'll see on the bottom right that I did keep the win streak intact, right? Up to this point in the video. And guys, as you can see, I'm donning an 8-fight win streak, and Tommy Vic is donning Yoshimitsu. And guys, Yoshimitsu's still giving me nightmares to this day since he was dropped, right? So I gotta learn blocks for Yoshimitsu. That's in reality, that's what's going on, right? For anyone who knows, right? You just have to be more well acclimated to the character model and the movesets, right? But yeah, Tommy Vic gave me an absolute run for my money. Had my promotion chance, right? And you guys just gotta see it for yourself, right? The intensity of this match was just wild, right? This was a wild match. Tommy Vic, dude, handing it off to you with the assist. Absolutely epic match, bro. Broham. Oh, man. My heart was racing, right? I'm on an 8-fight win streak, right? And obviously win streaks do come to an end, and usually they come to an end a little, I don't know. This match just kind of like solidified like the bummer like feeling like that you get like when you're bummed out, right? It was like that adrenaline surging like crazy, and you just want to continue. And then I did the correct move, right? The correct kick, but I did it at the wrong time, right? And it allowed him to move forward easier, doing that beautiful. I don't know, man. I don't even know what the hell they title Yoshimitsu. All the Yoshimitsu players can give me a heads up as to what the move combination titles are, right? So I did catch him back with a perfect, but that's where it went all downhill after, right? Because he came back with some absolute flurries that I had no clue how to block, which direction, where the moves were coming from, right? I have to be more acquainted with the Yoshimitsu character model and movesets, right? That's the long and short of that. But absolutely insane match. This was the most high tempo and high paced match of the day, right? And it was the best match. It was the best, win or lose, right? Guys, I preface by saying this in every single one of my videos: win or lose, just have fun. And this was absolutely fun. This was a blast. And do you guys like when I lose in a way that is like definitive? there's a meme, right? There's an Office meme, right? The Office, the show. There's a Steve Carell, right? Steve Carell Office meme. Hold on, I'm looking it up on my phone right now. You know the one? Okay, so if you like Google Steve Carell Office memes, if you just type in Google Steve Carell Office memes, it's the second one when he makes his face in a weird way, like this is like really bad, right? Like that's the face that I have, right? Where his teeth goes just like absolutely, like he skins his teeth in a weird way, and like actually any Steve Carell, like when he flubs up or he messes up, that is the easiest way to put the face that I make when I lose, right? Like I'm like, oh, this is terrible. or we can use the no, right? Whichever one you guys feel is more applicable, right? But any of those Steve Carell, like oops or this is gonna be bad memes, right? Like things like that, right? Like any of those, like that's the face and that's like the vibe that I give off when losing, right? It's never one of the I want to hit something. No. Right? It's nothing like that, right? I don't get enraged where I throw the console. I have a level head like 90% of the time, right? I try my best to keep a level head when these things happen, right? Like for instance, what happened like a couple weeks back, right? Didn't the freaking draw like drop on my toe and just turn my toe green? By the way, guys, my toe is still green. My toe is still green, right? Like from when the draw, like the metal end of the drawer, right? When I was like fixing the drawer, it really did turn my foot green, right? It turned my left toe green. So I'm actually looking at it right now. Right? So yeah, like the most you'll get out of me is that Steve Carell face, right? Like, ooh, this is gonna be bad, right? But I do want to say something, right? Like I got super bummed out. Then I faced off against a Lily player, right? So here's the thing about Lily players. I got my butt handed to me one night, like probably like a week and a half ago. I just came across like a Lily player, right? And it was like I think the title of the person was like Flame Ruler or something like closer to the higher ends, right? Or Kishin, right? I think it was could have been a Kishin player, right? Using Lily, and I could not, for the life of me, block any move, right? Same thing with like Yoshimitsu. I have to learn how to block against Lily, Yoshimitsu, and a couple other players. Eddie, I have to work on as well, right? The more advanced Eddie combinations, right? So there's always gonna be like a weak spot, right? Against certain players, right? Especially if you don't come across them that much. Like how I was telling you, like the Shaheen character, kind of just like I faced off against a Shaheen player like maybe like a month ago. And he just like gave me he just dominated the hell out of the match, right? He or she, right? So same goes with a Lily player, right? Not this Lily player, but I came across like it was like 2 o'clock in the night, right? 2 o'clock in the morning, right? A little after midnight, like a couple weeks back, and that Lily player, right? Perfect, right? Rematch. One win by me, then perfect, right? And then just they win, right? It was just like the most dominant Lily player probably that I faced off against, right? Out of all of the Lily players, right? And it was wild, right? I was just like, what do I do, right? Like, there's just like when things go bad, like the Steve Carell Office meme, like, I literally had that face, like, how do I, right? Like, I had that kind of like, what do I do? Like, I was just going wild. Let me just check this mic. Alright, cool, yeah. So I was just like, I was so, not frustrated, I was just like, man, like I felt like I was like mastering Tekken, right? Even with the console issues, I felt like I was mastering Tekken, like to the best of my ability, Tekken 8 to the best of my ability with Hwoarang. No, no. I instantly felt, right? After I finished that match, I felt like I just started Tekken. Right? It gave me that feeling. It made me want to play more. Like, some people get demoralized by that feeling, but it made me want to play the game more, right? I felt like, I was like, I still have a lot to learn in this game, right? It means that, you know, I probably felt like, oh, I've probably completed the game, in a sense, in like 25% of only up to like 25%, and there's like hidden nuances to the game to still do, right? And guys, I've got other games that I have not gotten around to, right? They dropped a new NHL game for free, right? And I didn't even play that yet, right? I installed it and I had to uninstall it from its face and added the health set, so I'm probably gonna reinstall it, right? I want to have an NHL game. I still didn't do the Resident Evils on the channel, right? There's so many freaking games that I want to get to that I have not gotten to, right? Instead, I'm jumping back into competitive frameworks, right, in games, right? So, I mean, from a competitive standpoint, right, it's much more interactive than right? Because you're interacting with your community, right? Whatever the community is, right? All the communities, right? Like across every gaming field, right? But the thing is, right? Sometimes you just want to kick back and really, like, I'm gonna go back to my friend, right? One of my, like, on the nerd spectrum, like, he's as nerdy as me, right? But he has a whole, he had, right? Like, when we were friends, like, maybe, like, he moved on with his life. Everyone's moved on with their lives, right? But the thing is, right, like, he had like the complete different like gaming experience, right? And he had the single player experience where he was like, no man, I don't want to compete online with other gamers. I don't want to do any of this. I just want to do the single player experiences, right? And they literally use that meme. It's a peaceful life, and it's true to an extent. It's true, right? Like, you don't have to deal with, you know, like, the toxicities in the community, right? But right now, there's like next to zero, like, at least for me, right? I don't know about your Tekken 8 experience, but for me, I've had like the best Tekken 8 experience, right? I've not had a single issue with any of the opponents that I faced against. Like, remember, like, the FIFA toxicity used to always be there, right? When the game was highly competitive, right? And it got to the point where it was just annoying, right? Like, at most, it was a little annoying, right? It's like, dude, right? Here, like, I'm going, like, at hyper levels, right? Against, like, Christians, like, Supremes, like, I faced off against, like, Supreme, right? In terms of, like, ranking, right? But the connection, right? Obviously, the connection's gonna be bad, right? Because people with those high-level rankings, right? They're like, dispersed so far away from you. Usually, that's not the case, right? Because you still don't know where the hell they're like located, right? So I face off against Supreme, right? And I have the fighting footage, right? But I want to keep that to myself for now until I hit that level, right? So yeah, crossing my fingers that I do, right? But it's just dope. It's freaking dope. I don't know. Like, it sounds like I'm rambling, but guys, I have another promotion chance, and it's against Reina. Like, Reina players are, I don't know. Like, sometimes it's a hit and miss. Sometimes I'll get high level virtuosi level Reina players. Sometimes I'll get Reina players that are just not as effective, right? I want to use that turn, right? Because there are matches where they'll win, but then there are matches where, you know, she's not as good as a character model. I don't know. I don't want to diss any of the Reina folks as well, right? Because a big ups to Phenomenal for helping me out with this match. Obviously, they're probably taking it on me, right? And not giving me such a tough time because the Yoshimitsu character absolutely just annihilated the hell out of me earlier today, right? Obviously, a couple fights ago, right? But you get the point, right? Like, I had to take a breather after that, right? And just like it's like a punch in the face, right? When you get a promotion chance in Tekken, it's like a psychological hit, right? A momentary psychological hit. Brace yourself to lose because the adrenaline dump is still a very real thing. You're gonna feel that adrenaline dump, and it's just like, you get that low sinking feeling, right? So, but I got the low sinking feeling, and I was just like, all right, you know what? Right back to the drawing board, right? Like within like 3 minutes, I was like, all right, no stress, no problems, right? If I get the title, I get the title. If I don't, I don't, right? So, it's not that it matters, right? It matters in the sense that, yeah, I get to like go on a streak again, right? And I have a console that won't crap out on me, right? Like that was the issue that I have now is not the fighting community. I love the Tekken community, right? Like this is like one of the start moves, but I had to take a long break from the Tekken online gaming experience, right? I think it was like a couple Tekkens ago. I just stopped. Right? I ended up paying attention more to like the movies and how the storyline was progressing. And I just kind of like said, let me wait for the technology to improve before going online, right? Because on my PlayStation 2, I used to play online with Hwoarang, right? I believe it's the PlayStation 2, like the earliest that I can remember using Hwoarang in online gameplay, right? And the thing about Hwoarang is that online play back then, if you guys can recall, some of you guys can recall the same memories, right? Back then, when you were playing online with Hwoarang, right, it didn't do the character justice, right? It didn't benefit you, the Tekken player, to play online. Usually, people that play fighting games in the fighting game community will understand what I'm saying, right? Sometimes the lag without like frames, right? Like delay frames, right? Right on the bottom of the screen, right? Like the way the frames work, right? When you were seeing the early stages of fighting games, right? It's like one wrong misstep, especially with lag back in those days, it was absolute, right? But it's like one wrong misstep against another pro player online, right? It didn't serve you justice, right? You just like lose the whole match due to like insane advanced change combos, right? So it wouldn't benefit you to even go on. Now, connections for the most part are stable as hell, right? I'll still play against any lag player, right? Like I told you, it doesn't matter, right? Lag is not right? The issue is just, can we keep the community live, vibrant, and fresh, right? And energetic, right? And learning how to take L's. Like, I had to take a huge L, right? Guys, I took the hugest L, not, you know, a couple matches ago, a couple rounds ago, right? I'm still playing, right? So don't get demoralized, right? Especially if you're in the fight game, if you're a weekend warrior. Guys, coming across the end of this video, guys, please love all the blessings to you and yours, right? I faced off against Phenomenal before, right? And absolutely classic Tekken 8 player, right? So probably helping me out, right? Like if we're keeping it real, probably not going full force on me, right? But guys, yeah, peace, love, all the blessings to you and yours. Sit out with the Dante character model.